Hi. Do you ever wonder what's the difference between an AI agent and agentic AI? Well, you're not alone. There surely is a subtle difference. And let's start by understanding what an AI agent truly is. Now, AI agent is something which acts with something called an LLM, a large language model, as its brain. Now, you can also use a small language model if your tasks are not that complex, but LLM is the first and the best choice. And GPT-4, as you have heard, is quite common. Now, LLM is responsible for something called as short-term memory. Now, short-term memory helps you with remembering the context of the chat, right? It helps you to come up with the best possible response, right? It helps with the reasoning part and all of that, right? But it is only responsible for what is happening in that particular chat, in that particular sequence, right? So the context, right? But you would have also noticed that, let's say you are asking, let's say which exercise is best for you, and somewhere in the past you had mentioned that you like yoga, so it will start suggesting exercises from yoga, right? Not swimming or badminton, right? It will pick up exercises or poses from yoga, because that's something, if you like, right? Or if you like swimming, then it would pick up that, right? So why it does that is, and why it links back to your past conversations, is because of something called a long term memory, right? So we have LLM, the short term memory, and then there's something called long term memory, which comes from something called as a knowledge base. Now, a knowledge base can be of different types. We can have a vector database, we can have NoSQL database, and so on. The misconception that it has to be only vector database is not true. We'll be covering the different types of databases and knowledge base in future videos. But right now it's important to understand that we have long-term memory, which is knowledge base, which remembers your past conversations, and then there's short-term memory, which is LLM, which is helping you with the reasoning and the current context, and giving the best possible answer. And this is like the brain, which is working actively to reach your goal, right? So what do we want to reach? There is a goal. Now, how does the agent get its goal? The agent gets its goal from a human, right? So let's say we have a human sitting here. The human provides something called a prompt. Now, how to write a prompt? What are the components of a prompt? Best possible way, and all of that. System prompt, user prompt, we'll be discussing that in future videos. But right now you need to understand that through a prompt, a goal is assigned, right? And an agent can perceive its environment. An agent can perceive its environment. Now, this answers our, question. I mean, a lot of you might be having this question, that we have LLM as the brain. Why do we need an AI agent? LLM is the brain. It's doing everything: generation of videos, audio, text. Why do we need an agent? We need an agent so that it perceives its environment and acts on a particular goal. An agent can act, an LLM cannot, right? And the action is what it has made it so popular, and it acts by calling something as tools. Tools could be as simple as API calls, calculations. Let's say you want to book tickets, you can do it via booking.com, MMT, right? Make my trip, right? And so on. book hotels, about etc. So this is an AI agent in a nutshell, right? Uh, Working towards the goals of a human, perceiving um, its environment and working towards it. And obviously, there's a human which always keeps a feedback. There's a feedback loop, but we can cover that in future videos. The aim of this video was to understand what's the difference between an AI agent and agentic AI. And coming to that is that in agentic AI, we have an army of agents working towards a particular goal. We have an orchestrator on the top, which is, let's say, managing a particular workflow. And our workflow we can take over here is source to payment. Let's say you have your own business. The first step is sourcing some materials. You want to shortlist vendors. Like any project team, we have orchestrator, we have super. So let's say orchestrator is the one handling the entire project, which is e-sourcing to payments. Super agent is uh, designated with just the e-sourcing part. And then we have utility agents being called. Now there are multiple of them for every task, right? Um, so we would have one utility agent, let's say, to check if the vendor is listed in the vendor master. We have the uh, non-disclosure agreement signed. Is it listed on the websites? Is it listed on the websites as an acceptable vendor? Or listed on the website, you know, as per standards, right? So now how these army of agents function are that once a utility agent completes its task, it starts reporting back. So look, I checked it. I think I found it in the vendor master. The other uh, you know the other vendor is not listed. This is the one which is listed, and this would report like, okay, the non-disclosure agreement is signed, and yes, it is acceptable. It's listed on the websites, which follow the standards, and all the background check has been done. The super agent will say that, okay, I have coordinated with the respective utility agents, which were working at a very granular level, and we are done, right? So the e-sourcing part is good to go. It's good to go. And then Orchestrator is going to say thank you, and let's move on to the future steps in the workflow, right? The payments, account payable, and all of that. So I hope you understood what's the difference. Agentic is more about the orchestration part, where the coordination part starts, right? And AI agent, obviously, it is made of knowledge base, LLMs, tools, right? There's a feedback loop, there's a human. And we'll be covering more videos. I hope you did find this useful. And if you want to know particular topics, please post it in the comments. That would really be helpful. Please don't hesitate to give your feedback. And thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a great day.